The stadium was electric. Green flags rippled under the floodlights. 1,000 throats screamed one name, Babar. The air was heavy with sweat, smoke and tension. Every camera lens was locked on the crease. Every heartbeat matched the rhythm of the ball bouncing on the turf. It was the 19th over. The scoreboard flickered. Rohit Sharma's record. 4,065 runs. Babar stood at 4,064. 1 run away. The crowd was not breathing anymore. Even the wind had stopped moving. Babar wiped his forehead. His gloves were damp. The leather of his bat felt alive in his hands, pulsing with energy. The bowler ran in, fast, furious, desperate. A blur of white came hurling toward him. Babar stepped forward. A sharp crack split the silence. The ball soared high into the night sky. Every head tilted up. Time seemed to slow. The ball glowed under the lights, a burning comet in the black sky. It landed beyond the boundary rope. The ground exploded. People jumped, hugged, cried. Phones flashed like stars. Commentators shouted over each other. He has done it. Babar Azam has broken Rohit Sharma's record. But Babar did not celebrate. He just stood there, eyes still fixed where the ball had vanished. Something felt strange, too quiet beneath the noise. He heard his own heartbeat thumping in his ears. He looked at the crowd, thousands of faces shouting, waving, but somehow distant. The noise began to distort, stretching, echoing, turning hollow. The air around him shimmered. He blinked. The floodlights flickered once, then again. For a second everything went dark. A cold wind swept through the pitch. The flags stopped moving. The roar died down into whispers. He turned toward the scoreboard. It was blank. No numbers. No name. Only a faint flicker of green light. Pulsing, almost breathing. Babar frowned. He took a step back. The turf beneath his spikes felt soft. Too soft. Like mud. He looked down. The pitch was wet. Dark stains spread from under his shoes. His chest tightened. He could smell metal. Iron. Blood. The sound of the crowd was gone now. Only the wind remained, and a low hum like electricity crawling through the air. Babar raised his head. The stands were empty. Every seat deserted. Only a single figure stood in the distance, right at the boundary line. Holding a bat. The floodlights flickered again, and the figure's face became clear. It was Rohit Sharma. Expressionless. Watching. Babar's breath caught in his throat. The Indian jersey shimmered under the ghostly light. Rohit lifted his bat slowly, pointing it straight at Babar. Then the scoreboard flashed back to life. Not with Babar's name, but with something else. Records never die, they remember. Babar dropped his bat. The sound echoed through the empty stadium, louder than the crowd had ever been. A chill crawled up his spine. The lights above began to buzz violently. He tried to move, but his feet were sinking deeper into the wet earth. The mud clung to his legs like hands pulling him down. The figure of Rohit began to walk toward him. Step by step, the hum grew louder, and the scoreboard numbers began to twist, merging his name with Rohit's. Babar Sharma. His vision blurred. His pulse hammered against his skull. The world around him spun. The floodlights became a whirl of green and gold. He could taste the salt of sweat. And something metallic. He opened his mouth to shout, but no sound came out. Only a sharp crack, like another bat hitting another ball, echoed through the dark. The echo rolled across the empty seats. And then silence. The silence was heavy. Too heavy. Babar's ears rang with the echo of that final crack. He turned his head slowly, his neck stiff, his heartbeat uneven. The figure of Rohit had stopped walking. He now stood right in front of him, so close that Babar could see the reflection of the floodlights in those dark, empty eyes. There was no anger in them, only disappointment. A cold gust of air swept across the field, fluttering the loose end of Babar's green jersey. The smell of wet grass filled his nose. He could taste dirt in the back of his throat. Rohit spoke, but his lips never moved. The words came from everywhere at once. Records belong to time, not men. Babar stepped back, trembling. The mud sucked at his shoes with a sickening squelch. He tried to blink, but the light above him flickered, and when he opened his eyes again, Rohit was gone. Only the bat remained. It lay on the pitch, the handle wrapped in faded blue tape. Babar hesitated, then bent down and picked it up. It was cold, too cold. Frost crept across the wood where his fingers touched. He heard something, a faint cheer. He turned toward the stands. The crowd was back, waving, screaming, jumping. But their faces were wrong. Every eye glowed white. Their mouths opened, chanting his name in a slow, mechanical rhythm. Babar. Babar. Each syllable struck the air like a drumbeat. The sound built into a roar. He dropped the bat, but it did not fall. It hung there, floating just above the grass, spinning slowly, like caught in an invisible hand. The letters carved on the blade began to glow RS, before melting into BA. Babar stumbled backward, his chest heaving. The stadium trembled. The big screen flickered again, replaying his six over and over. But something was different. In the replay, the bowler was gone. There was no ball, no crowd, just Babar swinging into emptiness. Over and over. And each time he hit, the lights dimmed a little more, until only the glow of the screen remained. Then, slowly, a shadow appeared behind him, in the replay. A figure holding a bat, walking closer with every swing. Babar's mouth went dry. He watched the screen as the shadow reached his shoulder, and placed a hand on it. He froze. Because at that exact moment, he felt it too, a heavy hand on his real shoulder. He turned his head, slowly, and saw no one. Only the air twisting like smoke. Then the voice came again, deeper this time. You wanted to be the king of T20. The scoreboard glowed crimson. But every king must take the throne from the dead. Babar's vision darkened. The pitch beneath him cracked like dry earth. Flames burst from the cracks, licking at his shoes. He stumbled back, gasping, the air thick with heat and ash. The green of his jersey began to fade, melting into a burnt brown. He looked at his hands. They were covered in soot. The bat still floated in the air, burning now, the letters glowing brighter. The crowd's chant slowed, voices breaking, turning into distant wails. The fire spread outward, devouring the field. And through the smoke he saw them, countless silhouettes standing in a line, each holding a bat, each wearing jerseys of different nations. Their faces hidden in shadow, their eyes white, watching him, silent, waiting. The air vibrated again, the hum now deafening. And the scoreboard flashed one final message. The record is not yours. It owns you. Babar fell to his knees. His chest rose and fell in quick, desperate breaths. He looked up, eyes wide, as the flaming bat slowly drifted down toward him. It stopped just above his hands. He reached out, trembling, and wrapped his fingers around it. The fire did not burn him. It sank into his skin, tracing lines of light across his arms. His eyes flickered, green then red. The voices whispered again, fading into the wind. Every run has a price. He stood slowly. The flames around him died. The stadium was quiet again. No smoke, no crowd, just him, standing at the crease, alone. The bat in his hand shimmered with faint light. And from the speakers above, the commentator's voice returned. Calm, steady, too calm. Ladies and gentlemen, a new king of T20 cricket has risen. But somewhere deep in the echo of that voice, it sounded less like celebration, and more like a warning. Babar stood in the center of the pitch, breathing heavily. The world around him shimmered like a mirage. The grass was no longer burnt. The stands were full again, people waving, cheering, crying with joy. Everything looked normal. Too normal. He looked down at his hands. The glowing marks were gone. Only his bat remained, plain wood, silent, lifeless. For a moment, he wondered if it had all been a hallucination. The lights, the fire, the voice. Maybe it was just exhaustion. But as he lifted his bat to acknowledge the crowd, something strange happened again. The scoreboard flickered once more. His name shone brightly, Babar Azam, 4,071 runs. Then, for just a second, another name appeared beneath it. Rohit Sharma watching. He blinked, and it vanished. The crowd roared louder. The noise filled his ears until it hurt. He forced a smile, raising his bat high, pretending not to notice the strange chill running down his spine. Reporters rushed to the edge of the boundary. Teammates surrounded him, hugging, clapping, shouting his name. "Brother, you did it. You made history." One of them yelled. Babar nodded slowly, but his eyes drifted toward the far end of the field, where the darkness behind the floodlights seemed to ripple. He thought he saw something move there. Silhouette. Holding a bat. For a heartbeat, the sound of the crowd disappeared again. Only the whisper of the wind reached his ears. And then the voice came, soft, almost kind. "Guard your crown well, Babar." He closed his eyes. When he opened them again, the figure was gone. Only the empty shadows remained. The team began to leave the field, celebrating as fireworks burst above the stadium. Babar followed slowly, each step echoing in the quiet space behind the noise. As he reached the boundary line, he turned once more. One last look at the pitch where everything had changed. Under the bright lights, something caught his eye. In the center of the crease, carved faintly into the turf, were the initials RS. He stared at them for a long moment. Then he smiled, faintly, almost respectfully. He raised his bat one last time toward the empty field. "Thank you," he whispered under his breath. The wind carried his words away. The lights dimmed. And as the fireworks painted the sky in green and gold, the new king of T20 cricket walked into the tunnel. His shadow stretching long behind him, merging with the darkness that waited beyond. The record was his. But deep down he knew, it never truly belonged to anyone.